not a team which can always come back from behind like that, like a BLG or a top esports can. What that means is that now with them back on the blue side, they need to be very, very careful not to give FPX run of the shop in the early game.
The other side of that coin, though, is if you don't beat JDG in the early game, then mid-game play is pretty exceptional from a point where they find us to have a stable enough or snowball their own early games. It gets very difficult to manage themselves. Switch sides again, JDG over on that blue side, and seeing some of these bans come on through, I don't think should surprise anyone. A couple key bans against Kanavi, in particular the Nidalee, very obnoxious in his hands, and Sheer already running people over on the likes of that Rumble.
And you can see that FPX, they're banning away a lot of the very powerful early game champions, but they do give up that Tristana, which of course Yugao has typically been very strong and lost that game in the last one, but that's only because realistically, FPX had Milky Way and Life be able to win themselves that early game matchups themselves and then influence mid lane beyond that point. So, FPX, I really think they should be indexing again into strong early games. Something which can get out onto the map, influence the lanes, rock JDG's momentum.
Debating Zyra here has been one of the premier AP carries. Milky Way will be likely playing that one unless it's way back in the day and we're seeing a Zyra support, but that chat feels like that ship has long since sailed. Debating the Corki here as well. I don't think that should surprise anybody.
Yeah, this one's going to be the easy one. You've already got that AP jungle. You need the AD mid. Why not go for Corki? So, Cap, great game on that in the last one. Be happy to pick that up again, but you do need a support matchup now, which favors Life, I think. And that Missing has had a rough game 2. Game 1 was much easier for him. JDG, now they go over towards the Karthus. The Karthus hasn't been Kanavi's specialty. He needs to have now a bot lane which can give him a little bit of extra room to maneuver, because I think if we have a winning bot lane for FPX alongside that Ezreal, I think it could be a big problem for JDG, and we can see exactly how FPX can recreate what they did in Game 2.
They decided against the Karthus straight out and went to get the Ezreal, which I think makes some sense. It's a strong option for Doctom, even if he did lose that 1v1 in the Game 1. It's a good combo with the Corki, with the Zarya. Your ability to play from a fair distance away feels pretty good.
I wonder whether FPX ban out the Zeri, because Zeri ended up being very, very strong for Ruler in that individual matchup. Could also potentially see them banning away the, I think the Kai'Sa could be very, very powerful here. You know, a lot of AD carries struggle to deal with Zyra plants. They struggle to get on top of these mobile AD carries. Kai'Sa can dive right on top of them, and Ruler is one of the better Kai'Sas of all time. It would make a lot of sense to ban that away. They could also, though, on the same kind of ticket, ban away something like that Nautilus, which also starts fights very effectively.
Couple key options, but it is the Kai'Sa you called out. I think that makes a lot of sense. Makes Ruler's options a little bit more limited. I suppose there is a world that the Tristana gets flexed on down there, but it's just not been seen that much really in recent months because of how potent it is in mid lane. Down towards 4th pick though. What are FPX thinking? Do they want to pick something into the K'Sante? Has to be a consideration here, you'd think.
Well, depends if they want to pick him in a strong bot lane first and then give ZDZ the best run of the mill. I mean, I don't know. I feel like you could just counter pick the support. I think that Life being on something that can win the early game is really, really important. Maybe you think there's nothing left that can really give the Braum any issues. Braum is very, very good in laning phase, but what happens now if you lock in Kalista Renata or something like that? It could be very, very powerful, allowing them to go forward and also just win that laning phase. Something to win the lane for JDG seems to be on the ticket.
The last time I saw Ezreal Braum, it was Jackie and Mako getting their heads kicked in by Goomer and Carrier in that matchup specifically, so could be pretty tricky. They go towards the Jhin though, which has been something of a Ruler special from years past. He has still got one of the very best win rates in the world on that champion.
And his Jhin this year has also been very, very strong. I think you now probably are looking at something like that Bard. It's a ranged support which can do well into the Braum. Also has a fun interaction with Braum where if you put up your shield and you Q them, you don't need a second target, you just immediately stun them, which is kind of fun. Instead, looking towards maybe a bit more team fight, more easy team fight engage. Not great laning phase into the Braum, but does give you the extra ability to just, again, have that mid-game engage power. Do wonder whether that does open up some FPX early game plans, though, because Braum is good into melee supports.
Of course, if JDG can get to, say, 15 to 20 minutes and set up a Karthus ult with a Jhin ult flying over the top of, say, Yugao jumping on forwards, could get pretty nasty to manage in those skirmishes. Your ability to throw damage from a very long way away onto single targets could be pretty scary. The last pick, though, is a Poppy for ZDZ to try and knock away maybe one or two of those members that might otherwise be dashing around a little.
Also, just be a strong tank. You now have someone that can stop the rel going in as easily for the engage, because that can work very well. FPX don't have good engage. They do have range, they do have frontline. That can help with them. I do think that FPX, once again, because they have that less engage, needs to play through dominant laning, get vision control, look for picks. If it goes around to even 5v5s, I think it's, again, similar to Game 2. It could be a bit of an issue. FPX did win through that Game 2, though, by not really making it about the 5v5s. Can they do so again? JDG, they cannot allow those early game skirmishes to go in the favor of FPX yet again and lock themselves out of the easier mid to late game team fights, which they tend to look for.
Of course, you know, if you do get to that later stages and the FPX have got some gold, their counter engage isn't banned between the Zyra and the Ezreal and the Corki's ability to throw down consistent DPS, but it does get harder, you're absolutely right, and last game wasn't pretty in the early game from JDG, I think it's fair to say, and FPX here again with potentially some scarier lanes could be difficult to manage if it all goes wrong.
JDG forced into a Game 3. After that Game 1, would think a lot of people would have been surprised, but FTX, even with their new top laner ZDZ on his third team in less than a year, managed to claw one back. It was a dominant Game 2. They played it out well with a difficult-to-play composition, but, you know, I like teams which have some of that boldness. Can they see it out in a similar way in Game 3?
Navi stepping on forwards there, throwing down some skittles to see whether he can spot anyone around. Has yet to do so, and Milky Way desperately trying to stay still to get his seeds to spawn on the correct spot, namely this red buff.
Yeah, the Zyra, typically a champion, you want to invade early to make sure those seeds can't get any value. That's been the way that FPX have dealt with it. They've been the team to really say, okay, look, Zyra, you want to be getting this passive spawns, you're not going to get that. Kanavi going to walk in now. Gonna put a ward down, so they're not gonna be able to disrupt the seeds. That's the big thing. So Milky Way still gonna have his full speed clear. You stand in this bush, it means that all of your plants when they spawn will be able to get onto that first camp. As soon as you get that, things get very different. Kanavi still looking to impact this though. It is, and you've got a Braum coming up in life as well. I think this is a mistake.
I think Kanavi's in danger.
And Kanavi, this is important. He ends up forcing the plants to go. So it does mean that Milky Way will be slowed down.
Yeah, and Kanavi going to get out of here as Care is around, but so is missing everyone. Trading out as Sheer and ZDZ in the Baron Pit. As a 3v3 now in the jungle. Slow onto Yagao, who was hit by the Winter's Bite, and Milky Way been chunked out, feeling he's going to have to start up the Raptors as ZDZ and Sheer continue to trade. It is a brawl at level 1.
It is, and again, this is how you deal with Zyra. You make sure her plants don't contribute to her clear. Look how much harder it is for the Zyra to play without 3 plants at level 1. Does get the level 2. Kanavi doesn't get any camps already. It does mean, though, that Milky Way is going to be a little bit slower to get onto the clear. Won't have that perfect setup. It means that both junglers are slower. Need to see which one can then use that difference in timing from what you normally expect to impact the game.
A little bit dicey there from JDG, a little bit bold, but it does pay off. Zyra's still going to be clearing fast enough, but it isn't going to be that absolute giga clear that she has become very known for.
You normally expect about 2 minutes 55 in a clear from Zyra. It's probably going to be more, well, I mean, probably like 3:10, 3:15 at this point. Even it's going to be fairly slow clear compared to what it could be. See that JDG, they're going to get themselves more isolated lanes because of this. That might be important. How did FPX win the last time? Crush the lanes and get themselves roaming with jungle support across the map. Make sure that they can really be the big difference.
I still know that Zyra's nearly done with her wolves, and Karth only stopping his raptors, so even with the disruption, it's still ahead of the game.
Well, no, this is the thing, right? We did say that, look, Karthus will still be behind the Zyra because the Karthus went into the enemy jungle and didn't get anything. So we said that. But the thing is, the Zyra is still going to be slower because they don't get that perfect camp steal. So you can see right now, probably going to be more towards, it's going to be about 15-20 seconds late on the Zyra clear, which means that they can't influence bot lane in the same way that they would have wanted to maybe on that end of the first clear.
So the disruption comes on through. It's just, I find it kind of funny that even with the disruption, the Zyra is still wicked fast. And Ruler needs to be afraid, gets hit by the root, and the impact's still in there. He's dead to rights.
JDG, what the hell has happened here? Their whole early game plan was slow down the Zyra, make sure they can't influence bot lane, and they still walk up, still face check, and still die to first blood. Everything JDG did at level 1 was to stop this from happening, and yet still it comes through. Milky Way gets himself to bot side, and FPX get themselves an easy, very telegraphed kill.
They were greeding to try and get scuttle pressure for Kanavi, weren't they? What a foolish move.
That is just not it. You cannot walk up like that. Ruler, I don't know if he realized the timer which was going on there. You know that Zyra will be slower to bot side, but it's still fast. You know that they have still been delayed. And we even said it, right? Maybe around 310, 315. Ended up being around about 315 to 320 was the timer from Zyra. And walks up at that point, dies, and blows both summoners. That is nigh unforgivable for what could happen here. You know that Milky Way will be there with nothing else to do with his time. I'm astounded, honestly.
And this is a player we consider to be one of the very best in the world, and that is, I think, unforgivable, you have to say, especially considering the Zyra start, as we've all seen, was very well known. They knew exactly what was going on, and I get that you thought you might have a second or two more, but in a top lane, Sheer is desperately low. ZDZ can't quite get the last kill. The grass proc is enough. Kanavi should pick this one up. Sheer gets away with it with a little assistance from the jungler.
Sheer, so much healing coming through, and it does mean that Kanavi will be able to bail out Sheer just enough. Manages to calculate his HP down into the double digits, it feels like. However, while all this is happening, need to really see what's going to happen in the bot lane after this point. Doctam Life, they got themselves that first kill with, well, Milky Way ends up getting it.
He's going to be so afraid. The jump on forward, he's got no summoners. The full shot speed is just not there. Ruler looking more like a pauper this game, but just about stays alive. His health bar low, but not down. Another step on forwards, and he gets away with it just about.
Yeah, we were just saying, okay, look at this top lane kill, awesome. But what's happening bot lane? With the summoners already gone, with the early game gank working out well for FPX. Doctam and Life, who were the architects of JDG's demise back in spring when they won in that regular season, getting themselves a strong laning phase against what we had expected coming through from that level 1. FPX, this is going to be now, I love this, a competitive game. I do really think now with the Jhin, Rel falling behind where they should be, FPX have themselves that setup to maybe get ahead of the game, to stay ahead of the game. It is not an easy game for them to engage in team fights. They don't have the best engaged composition, but if they get ahead in Dragons, if they get ahead in Gold, maybe that won't matter.
Be the aim of the game. Note there that Doctam did burn the flash on that attempted kill onto Ruler, who got away with it, as we said, but still, there's an additional summoner trade there, which might come back to bite them later on. Of course, Ezreal, nominally pretty slippery, so better than some AD carries without the flash.
He's even got himself that Phage as well to make sure he can keep getting that move speed when he runs these things down. Didn't go for that Sheen first off, missing, going into the top river. FPX, I don't really think they're in a position to contest right now. Yagao gets himself the bomb onto Care, trading well.
That's a Stranglethorns from Milky Way. Was expecting Missing to go on forward, so there's no Care in danger. Buster shot is not enough, and now Yagao actually in a scary spot. Karthus comes down, Care is likely to fall to that, and does so.
The Buster shot wasn't enough for Hay. He's got a Karthus over his shoulder. Kanavi, we've somewhat criticized his Karthus in the past, but that one is as easy as it gets. Yagao makes the play. Kanavi cleans up a kill back and gets that Karthus ahead of where Milky Way was, and he's now on 2 kills to just the one of that Milky Way. Zyra, FPX, they need to stay ahead of the game. Giving up the grubs, giving up that kill, that is, even though they got themselves a strong early gank, need to be very careful of those kind of leads coming through.
Milky Way chunked out very heavily there. The burn doing a lot of work, and Milky Way gets away safely, but not without losing a fair amount of his HP.
I mean, he'll be able to clear through anyway. Plants end up tanking through everything, and jungle sustain is not okay. So Milky Way going to be very happy to just going to go back into jungle all the same. Problem is, what do FPX need as a team composition? They need to be ahead. I understand why they want to contest everything early, but you can't give free advantages over. Yagao gets a full bomb with the press attack onto Care. Milky Way's Strangleforms, as you called out, not fantastic. It stops Missing from engaging onto him, but it's really not what they wanted. It's not even like ZDZ can get himself a cancel. I love what Sheer does there. Make sure there's not even a slim chance of that Keeper's Verdict making its way through the Xante.
Because that might have been a way to keep him alive. If you could have landed that R onto the ulting Karthus. He is pretty interruptible while he's channeling. So a wise word to anybody who's going into mages in general. And all the while, double stun, but Life had the Thor up, so not that much follow-up available.
Hodor gets himself back against that one. Keeps it at bay. Missing at least for the time being. FPX still winning through the bot side. We need to see if that will become something more. As it stands, JDG ahead in gold. They have themselves those grubs, which is very important. If you now get Tristana into a side lane with those grubs, I mention this every time Tristana's in the game, which is every game, basically, it feels like. Now JDG have powerful mid-game options. You don't have FPX with huge leads. They have some concerning leads in bot side because you were meant to be winning through the Jhin Rel. Jhin is a very strong laner. The fact that they have that one kill has left that a little bit in question. But if FPX can now, if FPX now struggle to find engages, if JDG can now play the map a lot larger, I think JDG are much more happy.
It's going to be the play as Ruler with the most wave clear at this point in the game. Still, we just find out about half HP and a lot of mana
Gotta
for
be down because I want it all.
Exactly that. Well, I don't know how it ended up like this, but we might end up with a 3v3 in the bot side as Carthage begins to walk on down.
Yeah, we always look on the Mr. Bright side of life over here. That's actually just the British national anthem. I don't care about the other stuff. Mr. Brightside, that's it. Anyway, this is potentially a dive. Ruler has both summoners. It's really, again, quite hard to get engages down. If you have a Leona, you'd probably be going for that. Braum doesn't really give you that same dive potential. I have to say, in LPL, we have seen kind of a recent trend of low engage comps looking to play through really obnoxious lanes and powerful range. It does mean that it's quite hard to find the big team fights in the same way. Not every team can play this kind of composition well. FPX did in game 2 by getting such a large lead that it didn't matter. Hard to do so again.
Yeah, they're not out of this game or anything quite yet, but this might be another free moment onto ZDZ, who's slowed down by the wall of pain, but has got the steadfast presence to give enough speed to walk away.
So, what's the next big things we're looking for? Both the dragon and the grubs spawning in a minute. What items are we going to have? It's not really first item territory just yet. Might have it in the fight after that point. We can see that FPX immediately setting up on top side, making sure that 6 grubs is going to be harder to do so. Kanavi kind of knows he's not really able to go in towards top side jungle that easily. He'll want to potentially save his smite here as well. I don't know what his second cooldown on the smite is. If he has that one available, then it'd be completely fine to do so. But JDG now moving bot lane to top side because I think grubs is really going to be the name of the game. If JDG get that, it gives them such good ability to play out the next 5-10 minutes.
Worth noting, dragon spawning in 40 seconds as well. I suspect FPX would like to claim the second one there. We'll see whether we see grub contest from both sides into that, or whether it will just be a trade of objectives.
This is the thing. I think FPX realized 6 grubs is not something they can give over. You cannot give this Tristana 6 grubs. That is game losing. So they are moving towards top side. They're not really looking at the dragon right now. It's hard to play grubs on red side, especially when you have a mobile junglers. JDG have the terrain advantage as it stands. FPX do, though, have the range advantage. Maybe Milky Way and Docdam can do something if Docdam comes over to the plane.
Missing needs to be a little bit scared, but we'll be able to crash down over the wall. Safe for now. Docdam playing with Ruler in the mid lane to claim control of the wave. Big chunk onto Kanavi.
Yeah, so Yagao went for a reset. I think he got his first item, but he's not going to be here. You don't have Tristana here, but here comes Sheer.
Go looking for the flank. Kez in danger. They didn't know. In goes Braum. Gets a double shot with a W. Damage with the Strangle Thorns, though, is absolutely foul. Milky Way takes him to town. It's a 1-for-1 right now, but the damage onto the side of Sheer and Kanavi is huge.
Kanavi still has his ult, but he's not really in a safe position to play it, and FPX show exactly why it is really hard to engage into the disengaged power of the Zyra. Strangle Thorns really coming up trumps there, and FPX, they go for the grubs. They know the 6 grubs will be too powerful to give over to JDG, and they get themselves the second spawn to deny it.
Jin trap there prevents an easy angle in from the Poppy. Ruler chunked, but still able to clear out this wave, and Docdown will receive it at his tier 1 in mid lane.
But I'm able to clean that one up. So, JDG, they don't get themselves the grubs. They don't really know how to deal with the Zyra at this point either. We said, hey, FPX, really not great terrain advantage here. When you have the Zyra, you can make your own terrain. You make difficult terrain out the front of here. Oh my word, the triple ult was absolutely absurd from Milky Way, showcasing exactly what the Zyra can do. A lot of teams have avoided this kind of eventuality before, but this is exactly what Zyra wants you to be playing into.
Dragon alive, and everyone's back alive, so we can potentially see another round of this fight just on the other side of the rift. Docdam clears out the wave again, and it is looking like a mirrored scenario from last time.
Kanavi didn't use his ult in the last fight, can use it in this one. Yagao needs to be careful of the W coming through from the Poppy. If he takes too much damage, he might be forced to bust a shot. Indeed he is. He does have to teleport to get down towards there. Docdam doing damage.
It's a chunk onto Kanavi. Will Arcane shift over the wall. Care now coming on down, and they do have vision control in this push. Makes it quite tricky to deal with that.
Yeah, I can see that big Corky poke coming in. Sheer gets the empowered footwork. It's going to allow him to get that double distance as a dash to an ally. JDG, they don't have their Tristana here. That's going to be a big problem. FPX, they have the range advantage. The longer this goes on, the better it is for FunPlus Phoenix.
Stranglethorn's back up and available. This could prove a little bit difficult, especially with some of the chunks that have already come on through.
Missing has ult, has flash. Can he be the difference maker?
Hello, engaged from Missing. Does only really get onto the Braum. He's got the door up already. Stranglethorns comes on down. Missing in danger. Stand behind Braum. He's keeping alive now. His Sheer has gone exceptionally deep. But now the Skeletons can get called. It's a 1-for-1 right now. Shield from Docdam stays alive. Life also just about alive. But no, the burn! And a final shot. JDG find 3.
It is Hellfire. It is Blackfire burning him down with the Extra Haunting Guy is helping out with the damage. Kanavi 4-0-1. I've criticized this Karthus before, but he's really impacting these fights now with so much gold. It could just be another Karthus experience. I think we're seeing some of the best bits of both of these AP junglers in these fights. Milky Way's disengage has been disgusting in the last couple of plays, but if you do survive the end of the play, you need to be factoring in a very fed Karthus on the top of it. You can see that the Wall of Pain also helping out here too to make sure that Care and that Life are in bad spots. Sure, it does go very deep, but it doesn't matter. You just know that you're trying to do as much split damage as possible to get yourself onto the board with the Karthus ult. The burn kills Life, the 4th shot kills Doctam. JDG walk away with a big team fight win.
Because I thought it was just going to be the 1-for-1 initially, but the follow-up with the burn with that 4th shot landing proves a little bit too much to deal with.
So, when now it comes around to the next few minutes, keep in mind some of the conversations we've had before this. FPX, they want to stay ahead of the game. They're currently behind the game. They don't have themselves a soul point early or something like that either. And with the first dragon, the second dragon being taken by JDG, that's becoming less likely to happen as the game goes on. I think that FPX, they need to find themselves a power play quite soon. Otherwise, I think JDG are going to get to really big items, and then the threat of a Jin W, the threat of something like that Karthus could be so powerful.
Gau's chunked out low enough, need to reset, so teleport towards the top side, but he's not going to be available to defend mid lane, missing in a dangerous position versus ADZ. So still stays alive for now as Care has roamed on down. Turret in mid lane down about 10%, but not anymore.
Yeah, it's not down, and that's the big thing. Yagao, he's moving back out onto the map. He'll be able to pressure somewhere. You can see that bot lane is being pushed in from JDG. That'll likely die within the next wave. FPX needed a power play. Taking mid lane turret would have very much helped in regards to that, but they just can't quite find that at the right kind of timing. What can FPX do? It really feels like it's so much on Milky Way. Maybe Life getting himself a big play. Ruler pulls the ult in mid lane to make sure that FPX can't respond in mid. Bot lane falls. JDG remove FPX's options from them.
This is a reminder of why Ruler at one point was spamming that Jin all the way back in the past. Has gone for the static shiv here as well to try and compete with some of the wave clear. Of course, Jin's wave clear a little bit lackluster until later on in the game where the W and the bouncing grenade can clear waves a bit more freely, especially because he only has 4 shots to his name. There's outcomes and
ultimate.
Is that just a gold ult?
Yeah, he has first strike. He's saying, well, we're not fighting for this minute or two. Give me gold. He gets 63 gold for that. Yeah, cannon minion.
Hell yeah.
Dude, that's how you play Karthus. That's my goat right now, right there, Kanavi. So the thing is, First Strike's even been nerfed. We don't see it that much right now on Jungle. We didn't see it that much on Jungle Karthus before because of the dopamine of Dark Harvest. It was better earlier into summer.
Yeah.
Now our First Strike has been nerfed a little bit. It can be a little worse to play. FPX, they called enough for people up here to get the wave clear. Shouldn't really be a dive potential towards that, particularly with Life on the same side of the map too. What have we got spawning soon? We have Milky Way over the wall. It gets really hard to find the engage here when you don't have the Leona Nautilus or something like that. FPX kind of just getting pushed in across the board.
True shot barrage goes a little wide. Actually, Doctor needs to be a bit afraid of the Wall of Pain. Back away safely for now. Mid lane tier 1 falls, but that will give a little bit of a chance for a chunk in mid lane onto that tier 1, but it's only down to just under 2/3 HP.
So, next phase of the game. JDG, they have Tristana in a side lane, very powerful. Kanavi's farming up a Storm. I think that JDG, they have so many more aggressive plays available to them. You have Jin W random catch-outs, you have Missing, much able to find engages somewhere onto a pick target, and the Karthus is so good at follow-up with the Jin. FPX, we have talked about them playing difficult compositions before. Now, I think they've been pretty good at playing because they do understand the slim win conditions, even if they're less obvious than some other team comps. It doesn't make the team comps less hard to play, though, and if you do slip up, like you have done in this early game, it puts you into a very difficult spot where maybe some other teams would have better win conditions and better ability to play from behind.
Do, however, have the ability to punish the people that first step forward from JDG. They've just not managed to get more than 1 kill off that so far, but if you do pair up the Braum ult with the Zyra ult, and then the fact that the Corki and the Ezreal can hop away from people jumping in, you can do that, but your ability to pull the trigger yourself, a little more limited, it has to be said.
So, JDG losing themselves out the side lane turrets, but that's fine. They already got themselves a decent amount of gold from that. They're ahead in gold. They just need to not over-push into FPX. That's the thing which I think FPX are waiting for. They're waiting for an over-engage, waiting for someone to step onto the plants where Milky Way can stand behind the engage, get the Stranglethorns through. If you ever over-engage into a Zyra, the game feels really quite bad. Dragon spawning in 20 seconds. FPX, because they don't get there first, they're likely giving this up. It's really hard for them to find a fight if they're not at the objective first.
Of course, maybe a Poppy ult could maybe help assist that, I suppose, but For now, it's Darkdam trying to get some poke down with limited vision. Always makes the poke champions a lot more mortal because you can see the skill shots coming.
You can see that FPX, they pushed out top side. Because they're pushing out top lane, they're not on bot side. Because they're not on bot side, they don't get to the dragon first. They don't get themselves into the position where they can team fight. It does mean they're likely giving this up. Maybe you can get yourself a big play, ZDZ, though. Again, look at this. It's really hard for them to find themselves anywhere. And while they do have the Ezreal, Corki, Zyra for good range, it's not like the Jhin can't threaten them either.
And the Jhin has proven pretty deadly with the ultimates in particular so far this game. ZDZ teleporting topside with care. They want to go for the tier 2.
Well, they can't go for the dragon, so now we see teleport from JDG to say, okay, that's your power play. Right. We're going to make sure that you can't get anything out of that. You're going to get the dragon now taken down. Kanavi rushing this down. Can they get it in time? Milky Way should be in steal range.
He is. Flash on forward. Life gets a glacial vision. The teleport's now flying as well. Milky Way still with the stranglehold. Ruler looking for an angle here for the ultimate. Going to try and take the dragon as they can. But the magnet storm is monstrous. Dragon secured. But the Bears are just dead to rights. A double kill for you guys.
And what time is it? It's Baron time. 5 seconds till the Baron spawns. JDG will take it on spawn. Sure, they lose the bad dragon. Who gives a damn? The 3 members dead for FPX. Mid lane turret falling. Baron falling. JDG get themselves the big fight they wanted. Huge wombo combo. Huge win.
That was a bit rough, I think it's fair to say. Ruler ults from one, Ruler can attack from one side. Kanavi gets to Prezara missing with a glorious Magnet Storm off 3.
So JDG get 5 Baron buffs. FPX, they don't even get to push out the rest of the map. Going back to what happens at the start of this, Milky Way gets there in place, but he's putting himself into position to steal. When you're playing a carry jungler as opposed to Sejuani, Lee Sin, if you look for a steal, you're likely dying for it. He does so there, doesn't have any ability to get out, and JDG, they swing the jaws of that trap closed. That should be the game-winning play.
Flanking Tristana as the deadliest, gets to teleport in, having used the teleport on the other side from, I want to say Care to get over there, so...
It was ZDZ that teleported up. Care was already there. But then the thing is, you know, talking about that play, I think all of it erupted from that. This is why sometimes the macro, it can be an improviser's art, where you see that FPX knew they weren't a dragon early because they pushed top lane, because they then teleport. It just means the setup is all wrong for them, and they don't have just easy engage to paper over the cracks there. JDG, we haven't always seen this from them in summer. It has felt like they've just been ahead of FPX in this game, though, in regards to what they want out of the map at any given point. I think that FPX, because their win conditions are really small, they've had to kind of snatch and grab to try and thread the needle, and it hasn't quite made it.
They've missed the grabs and the turnaround. Sucker punch is pretty brutal this game when you have the Rel comboing up with the double AD carries and Akarthus who's pressing R. It's not a fun time for all involved.
That it is. So JDG significantly far ahead now, and it does feel like FPX, they have themselves the right and break points. I feel like they've come just a little too late. They're going to have to be defending against a full map of Baron buffs. Typically, you only see 2 lanes pushed with the Baron. We're seeing that right now. I think JDG could do whatever the hell they want, though, because they have so good engage. It's another gold farming ultimate. Yes, you have the locket to block off some of that, but Kanavi's very, very happy to just put out as much poke as he possibly can, just keeping that on cooldown.
And the siege continues. Ruler throwing out Deadly Flourish after Deadly Flourish. The Stranglethorns is minimal. Gets a flash out of Ruler, which is valuable, don't get me wrong. Doesn't do much more than clear the wave and get a summoner. Yeah,
flash out of Ruler, sequel to Bat out of Hell. Sadly, not quite as dramatic in this case. They don't land themselves the big engage, and FPX, their lack of engage is really coming to the fore yet again. Flash away from Darkdam as he's trying to wave clear under turret.
Does manage to get a chunk onto Sheer, but that's about it, and the siege into both of these lanes is pretty good. Life goes on forwards with ZDZ, but there's just nothing to be done. The engage is so limited. Missing goes forwards, gets a Magnus Orb, is actually in a dangerous position. Needs to be a bit afraid, but the damage is going to lead to a 1-for-1. But look at the curtains being called. Shot 1 misses, but shot 2 isn't. Shot 4 still alive. To everyone just about there. It's a 1-for-1 in the end, but the towers still fall.
Yeah, you don't have any HP as FPX. And again, they try and look for these really awkward engages. If you're looking for a Poppy pop-up to try and get the engage, you probably run out of options. They don't have the damage, they don't have the engage, and JDG make sure they don't have the HP bars after that point. Yes, missing falls, but at what cost to FPX? Ruler now caught out.
Teleport behind, that's pretty good. Remember, he doesn't have the flash, that's actually a pretty important shutdown there. They get something, but the inhibitor turret still falls.
Yay, we found the way they can engage. An overpush from JDG. Damn, they always find a way. JDG, though, still managed to take, what, 3 turrets in that fell swoop? Bot lane inner and inhibitor, and then the mid lane inner turret. as well. JDG still very happy with the Baron power play, almost 5,000 gold. Ruler should still be alive by the time the dragon comes up. However, FPX will be able to get an objective bounty, and they'll be able to get towards the dragon first, which we did say really hampered them at the last time that objective spawned. Can they get towards that terrain, set up, and try and get JDG to engage into them?
So that'll be the plan. This would be soul point as well, so with the inhibitor not down and the wave shoved out a long, long way by ZDZ, they're in an okay position here to start up a fight in terms of being in the correct terrain.
Yeah, FPX, they really want to be on this objective first. The thing is, they need the item breakpoints. So, this sucks, because you had to back and remove your Zyra from the bot side of the map to get them Rylise. Rylise is so important, you can't ignore that, but you then have given over some of your positioning in bot lane. You could have been setting up here, getting, getting that Scuttle Crab, getting yourself the seeds in the right place as well from the passive spawn. Now JDG are first in there. This is just really, really unfortunate from FPX. Because they're so far behind, they can't let go of these item breakpoints, but it means they give over the terrain. Dragon goes over, FPX no closer to fighting around that. I guess it means that FPX can stall the game a little longer, but what are they realistically stalling it for? That's my big problem. If you don't get yourself towards a soul point here, they're playing smoke and mirrors. It's hard to think they can fight their way back in.
Could be an ult from Karthus, interestingly. Gets a chunk, but the tower is still likely to fall here. The Malignance procs actually clears out the minion wave, but that means the teleport is not going to be completed because it falls in time. Ruler not going to get the deadly first. Sheer prevented from stepping on forwards thanks to the steadfast presence.
Oh yeah, so FPX get themselves an inner turret with an objective bounty. That's some golden pocket, and it does importantly largely go over to the solo laners. But again, FPX, what are they stalling for? Kanavi had a little bit of danger there, but still, he has been really ulting up a storm. 3,000 gold ahead. Or again, really kind of maybe changing our perception on him on these more stationary AP carries. Had a fantastic Lee Sin game earlier in the day. This Karthus has been something he's lost on before. Yeah. He lost on it to both Weibo and to Thundertalk Gaming in the group stage. It has felt like Kanavi, when he's not on the go button, when he's not on the hyper-mobile, snowballing champion, he can lose a bit of impact. But in this game, had really, really good damage numbers, great impact. I love the fact he's ulting early in fights to make sure that FPX can't fight from full HP.
Third item now traded for both mid laners. That's not necessarily a surprise. Ezreal just shy of a third item himself. Problem is, this Jhin now went 3 items with an Infinity Edge and a Rapid Fire Cannon into a pretty squishy comp with the exception of the Poppy. Going to be able to pop some people from pretty high HP values.
So, FPX again, they still have the same problems they've had the entire game. How the hell do you find an engage? JDG, they might still over-engage, but it does feel like JDG are so happy with all of the items that they have. They have a stronger front line at this point because Sheer is very, very happy with his point in the game. You can see that JDG have the bot lane pushed in. They could very easily send someone down there and work around that too. With Baron spawned and with no teleport, you guys, it's a little harder to do so. Sheer wants to be grouped with the team. Kanavi flanking on Karthus currently. Only Kanavi does this.
Yeah, gets away from a deadly flourish and Sheer jumping at him with the footwork. Still going to be red buff likely stolen. JDG a little split here, but again, the option to engage just limited. Exactly.
Normally in this kind of situation, the owner jumps it. You can't do that with the Braum. Bit of a slow coming through. One minion has survived through to mid lane. Can they protect this and push through mid? There's actually a chance. They're drawing back just a little bit now. The poke coming through from the Zyra, it's still quite potent.
Gal's going for the inhibitor, jumped over the wall. The turnaround damage is pretty huge. There's a big stun to ZDZ, cause some damage back.
Yagao might just die here. Sheer might have to teleport to him. Yeah. What are they going to do? Flash forward for the Braum passive.
They're going to get the Karthus ultimate out. The bust shot is good, and that will actually deny anything as Care is in a really weird spot himself.
Oh man, I would have thought that 2v1 would have sealed it because now you've committed too many people to bot side. You might be losing your own mid laner. JDG, they outplay it.
Can't really think about flashing here. The crash down comes afterwards, and Care falls.
So, FPX, they try and commit towards Yagao. You'd think that the Ezreal Brawl would be able to kill the Tristana, but Yagao outplays, and the recall comes through. In time, Sheer gets out to safety. So FPX, they lose themselves their mid laner, they lose themselves a flash on life, and JDG get themselves positioning over Baron, which FPX was trying to deny from them. Baron will fall. That should be the game after. FPX, once again, in Game 3, out macroed.
3-level advantage in jungle right now. So that's a level 16 Karthus versus only 13 on the Zyra, who's struggling.
Flash
to
steal.
Keep game. Could think about flash stealing. Can look to go on again. It was 100 HP early. ZDZ's at the back of the bay will likely fall, but the Baron is stolen.
It's stolen, but at what cost? 3 dead on the side of FPX. JDG, you're going to be able to push for an inhib? They might just walk down mid lane. There is a Baron buff on 2 people from FPX, but the problem is now you have lost some really important members. JDG might just say, okay, you've stolen the Baron, that's how bad. Can you live through the next 30 seconds?
That's the play. JDG coming in with a man advantage could be problematic. Another inhibitor turret, or other inhibitor, about to fall. Gonna be the easiest to break through all the wave clear here. Life will need to do a lot of work as a bodyguard, though.
Yeah, the super minions are still here, and even if they can clear them, it's really hard to sit there and defend your turrets at the same time. Another locket shield, but it's so hard to defend your turrets.
Curtain Call is summoned, prevents easy stationary targets under their Nexus turrets. Now they're in danger. Second one has fallen. JDG onto the Nexus itself. The respawn's coming on through, though. Sheer gets off the Stranglethorns, gets a huge Q3. Care flashes away this time. All out from Sheer. They lose Missing. The Nexus is bare, but the fight afterwards is difficult. Life steps on forwards and keeps Docdam alive.
So, Nexus, Bear, and FPX somehow don't lose any members. So, the answer to the question, could you survive the next 30 seconds, is somehow, yes. FPX get themselves a couple of Baron buffs alive. It's on Docdam and Life. Only 3 other members died, but JDG... Maybe could have stopped Milky Way getting into the pit before that one. Gonna go back to the replay. Oh wait, we're not even gonna go back to the Baron. It's what happened on the Nexus.
They throw down a curtain call and it's looking pretty good, but then the respawns finally come on down and people get just a little bit split.
Little bit split. Ruler doesn't quite get himself the 4 shot or the execute onto everything. Can't quite get him stuff. Onto that, and you can't just sit here hitting the Nexus. FPX still have damage. That's not their problem. They have damage, just getting it onto someone pinned in front of them in the right range. So JDG couldn't feel like they could walk up to get that one. FPX, now they're going towards this bot side, trying to set up towards the dragon itself. Big problems now. You have Yagao with a teleport, and you have an open Nexus. FPX are going to have to play very, very scared. They put double pink wards into their base to make sure there is no backdoor flank opportunity. Yeah. So JDG take the dragon on Soul Point. The game extends, but again, JDG really holding the knife at their throat.
Yeah, and it gives Zyra a bit more gold, which was necessary because she was really struggling there as well. Karthus at 4 items, Void Staff alongside the double burn of the Blackfire and the Leandries and Malignant on top of all that. Tricky stuff to manage. I'll note as well, it's a Mortal Reminder in from the Tristana. Nothing like a Lord Dom's feeling the anti-heal more valuable this game.
Well, I think that it's a decent item in some ways, and it just stops the Bloodthirster healing coming through from Kaer also alongside that Fleet Footwork. That might be the difference in regards to being saved or not. Of course, it could potentially stop Life's heal saving him too. JDG, they're walking up In's Force again. There's a void. I mean, Kanavi's items are just so disgusting. He presses ult and then even through the locket, it's gonna be so dangerous for FPX. Now, FPX, you have 1 inhibitor left to defend. Can you survive? The plants are pretty good at putting out some poke now. You can see that Ruler loses a little bit. The Rylise goes onto him, but not enough to let that Ezreal ult hit. FPX, they are very much defending the Alamo.
They are at that. About 45 seconds on the inhibitor in bot lane respawning. About 2 minutes more for the one in mid. So, JDG have control of the map. But it's not going to be the easiest to get towards the Nexus quite yet unless they pull for a really hard engage.
Ruler looking forward to try and get rid of that Bloodthirster shield. Of course, with the rapid fire cannon autos with that 4th shot, so deadly. Looking towards the big ult now. Can they defend their HP bar and the Nexus?
Curtains call. Docdam down low. Flashed away, still has a barrier. Damage back is pretty good here from the side of FPX. Missing finally goes on in. They lose the Poppy, but Missing falls in turn. In goes Yagao to the backside for the double buster shot. Can't quite secure the kill. Milky Way finally falls as a 4th shot comes on down. Yes, the Karthus is dead, but the damage is done. JDG pull the trigger, and the curtains are called on this series. They will win 2-1.
FPX do 1 better than their group stage performance versus JDG. They take a game off of them, but they can't take the series. It was close. It was hard fought. But JDG just proved they're just that 1 step ahead of FPX. I think this is a series that JDG won't necessarily be that happy with, considering that game 2. But they still walk away with it nonetheless. Such is the nature of the LPL. When you're a top team here, you're afforded some mistakes. But realistically, this is the time to be showing your best stuff. It is top teams versus top teams. JDG proving that they're just a little bit ahead of FPX as it stands.
Take a second to breathe. JDG, a little bit harder work in that last game than it looked like it would be for a while. The stolen Baron, some moments there where you began to raise an eyebrow, but in the end, the compositional difference proved a little too difficult to overcome. No real way for an engage to come on through from FPX. They were playing disengage and it was just not enough.
Right. So, folks, that has been it from us today. Folks, My name's Nymaera, I'm also known as Alex. This is Sam, also known as Initialise. We cast the LPL when there is no official broadcast on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and this is the only place where you will find that happening every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Every single day where there is no official broadcast. Other people take breaks, other people stream LCK or other games that they want to do. We will be here every single day, so you can catch any LPL that's not on the official broadcast. We're brothers, we've been casting together for years at this point, and we hope that you've been enjoying the show. If you have been, drop a follow, drop a prime if you have it. Drop Sam a follow as well.
Hell yes.
Are you going to go stream?
I am going to go stream.
We also don't have any hot water right now, so we need to figure that out at some point.
Do you want to go ask the neighbours, maybe?
I can potentially